Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. First, she's the vicious vixen, Zoe Nightshade. Zoe, how are we doing, hon?
Doing good. I promise. I'm not being unprofessional and eating Chinese food on the show.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm actually eating Chinese food right before the show. And then down from the Skeleton Realms, he's the Lord Skeleton himself, Joseph Knight. Joe, how are we doing?
We're doing pretty good. Just a busy day today, but let's get some wrestling talk going.
Yeah. And last and certainly not least, he's the incomparable Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV. Lance, what's shaking?
Not too much, and I had some Chinese food over the weekend.
It's a Chinese food festival going on here in HWR.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's get into it. This past Friday on SmackDown, Raw Women's Champion Asuka was giving a new title, which looks very much like Roman Reigns' Undisputed Champion. So Asuka is now being referred to the WWE Women's Champion. However, the belt has an inscription, WWE Women's Undisputed Champion. So now, according to reports, several wrestlers in the back were frustrated because they feel that they're using the term so loosely. And others are just confused as to what made Asuka an Undisputed Champion. Zoe, I'm going to toss that one over to you.
Well, I mean, she hasn't even defended it yet, has she?
No.
Then how is she an undisputed champion? That makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I apparently, you don't even have to wait 1,000 days like Roman Reigns to become an undisputed champion. But even Roman Reigns had to take, had to defeat Brock Lesnar for his WWE Championship to unify the Universal Champion and the WWE Champion. So that itself made sense. Joe, help me out here.
This is WWE's creative that have fucking nothing to do, and they don't have no idea how to put this together. WWE Women's Champion was enough. We're back. It's so something. It's incredible how the circle is complete. Like Darth Vader would say, the circle is now complete. We're back to the same situation we were a couple of years ago. Everybody saw Roman Reigns and Charlotte or whoever's as boring. And then now, so they split the titles all over again. Okay, now we have this person. This just shows me that they have no idea in creative how to go forward. Well, she's the WWE Women's Undisputed Women's Champion. Okay, so what's that make the SmackDown Champion or the Raw Champion, whatever the fuck champion? Does that make them the Universal Undisputed Champion? Like, and they can battle on Mars and Venus and stuff?
No, actually, we're going to be getting to that in a second because Ripley also got herself a new title. So we will get to that in just a second. Yeah,
everybody's
exactly.
Making brand new belts.
Yeah. Lance, over to you. Your thoughts?
Well, apparently whoever designed the belt does not understand the English language because Roman became undisputed when he got both guys' main titles. There's a champion on Raw and a champion on SmackDown. That does not undisputed make.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And again, Asuka's title, with the exception of the white strap, looks exactly like Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's so much originality thrown out the door. Zoe, final thoughts?
I just don't understand it. I mean, the only thing that I can think of, the reason why they're doing it is because they didn't want to have to switch Asuka over to Raw and then separate Rhea Ripley from the Judgment Day and ship her over to SmackDown. That way they don't have to call it the Raw Women's Championship, the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now they're just calling it the Women's Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. On a quick note, once Asuka got the title, of course, who won the championship shot? Charlotte Flair came right down saying, I want a belt. I want a belt. It's my time. And
God.
Yeah, well, Adam Pearce said, you know what, you're going to have to get in line like everybody else. And, of course, Charlotte pulled attention. She goes, no, I am the line. So, yeah, basically, Charlotte's going to be getting another championship shot sooner. I think it's going to be a triple threat at the next WWE pay-per-view. But now, yeah, it's pathetic. So now also on SmackDown, Rhea Ripley is given a new championship and a new label, so she is now the WWE Heavyweight Champion, Women's Champion, Heavyweight Champion. And similar like Asuka, her title looks very much like Seth Rollins' World Championship. So we have, we have like two titles that look exactly, like four titles that are all similar. Again, what the fuck is this company doing? What is this company thinking of?
This company has no idea what to fucking do. It's not like in AEW where they make belts that look like fucking belts. This is like I can see Triple H saying, let's bring back the big 10 pounds of gold. And
Exactly,
somebody in
like
creative
four titles
says,
that are all
yeah,
similar.
how about we put a big WW on it and let's give them all big gold belts. Yay! That shows the stupidity of WWE. I'm a wrestling traditionalist. I like to see belts that look like belts. I want to see individual belts. Back in the Hogan era, Hogan had his belt. Intercontinental belt looked different. The woman's title looked different. Say what you will. They all looked different. That's what separated each champion. Over in the NWA, Ric Flair's belt was the best belt there was. Then the US belt was different. The tag belts were different. Everybody had a different looking belt. You could see what belts. You tell Oscar could walk down with a belt looking like Seth Rollins' belt. Is that hers or his? I don't understand.
I think they're just sharing titles. I think is what they're doing now. But actually, it's Rhea Ripley's title, who she's on SmackDown, and it looks like Seth Rollins' title, which is on Raw. So they crisscrossed it. So I don't know. I just find it very weird.
Rick,
Ripley.
Over in the YouTube channel, Reverend Jake Slayer says Rhea needs to get away from the judgmentals and doom.
I don't know. I think Judgment Day for her right now at this point, I think she's doing a good fit. I don't know about you guys. Lance, real quick, what do you think about Rhea Ripley in Judgment Day?
Oh, well, I think Judgment Day is the edges are starting to fray.
Okay.
Now, getting back to what was brought up earlier, here's the thing. What's the name of Rhea Ripley's championship again?
Rhea Ripley is a WWE Heavyweight Champion.
Women's Heavyweight
Champion. Forgive me.
All right,
I apologize.
I got a question. Zoe. Do women like being called heavyweight?
No, and I'm fat. I don't want to be called a heavyweight.
If they want to be really insulting, they call it the WWE Women's Overweight Champion.
And it doesn't heavyweight come to the term over 250 pounds and more?
Yes.
I believe so. I don't know what.
Who do they have on Raw that can go up against Ripley as a heavyweight?
Nobody.
I have. Yeah, that's a good question. Who? And I can't think of anybody offhand.
I got a feeling they're going to drop the heavyweight thing.
I think
Quick,
they should drop
fast, in a hurry.
You know what I think it was? That they just did a slip of the tongue. Instead of saying women's champion, whoever announced it meant to say, women's champion, and it just says, oh, WWE world heavyweight, oh, women's heavyweight champion. I think they just slipped the tongue because, again, the belts look so fucking similar. It is the most ridiculous concept that I've ever seen. And then to see Rhea Ripley like gawking at the belt, like, oh wow, that's nice. Like, no, you stupid slut.
Well, the
that's
funny thing.
That's just Rollins' belt with your name on it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there were people again who were like just saying about the lack of creativity of both titles, and Asuka actually went to the defense and said, you know what, I think this is a beautiful belt, and people who complain don't have any actual creative ideas. And I'm like, okay, you're talking about your company, or are you just talking about somebody who
says the one that comes from a country where a giant lizard destroys their city every so often.
Oh,
I will say this: the women's belts with those white straps, something about that and the gold pops.
I agree. Yeah. Like I said, but the problem is, it's Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have two identical titles. It's not even needed. It's just, I think it takes away from all the belts.
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, so Seth Rollins, let's say Money in the Bank, he's still champion, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Becky Lynch wins the women's Money in the Bank, cashes in that night, and wins the championship off of Rhea. Will that make it his and hers belts?
Yes. Yes.
That's a
It's like
solid
towels.
question.
That's like hotel towels, his and hers. It's interchangeable.
Yeah,
They'll
what
buy
happens if they
one-
actually come out with the wrong title? Say, shit, honey, I grabbed your title by mistake.
They'll go and buy a little Raw championship for their kid.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, moving on. Now, since we're talking about championships, it looks like that on SmackDown, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler issued a challenge to Isla Dawn and Alba Fire for unification of the WWE and NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. Dawn and Fire quickly accepted. So now the question is, when will this match take place? And actually, you know what? I got a better question, guys. If this title is going to be, would this title be just challenged on all venues, or Joe? What are your thoughts on that one?
It should be defended on all the brands. It's a women's world tag team championship. Honestly, I look at this whole scenario. It's like, well, they're trying to fix a problem. They're trying to keep Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, relevant. And given that they're holding a world women's tag title, makes a lot of sense. They should be. I would like to actually see them win the other belts, like the other tag titles, and hold on to them, almost like FTR did when they started going around and winning tag titles. Give them, because there's nothing to lose. It's not. Basically, it could just give Shayna Baszler her due. Ronda's been there already. I just say, yeah, let them be the women's road warriors. Let them trample everybody, and then out of the blue, somebody else comes and starts taking belts from them. It worked for FTR. It worked for Kenny Omega when he held singles belts. Why not let them travel to each brand? It makes the belts more exciting.
Yeah, I agree, and I think. But we talked when even the first WWE Women's Tag Team Champion first came into or was recently revamped. We already said how many women's tag team champions are there. Liv Morgan even said there's like 10 women on Raw, 10 women on SmackDown. It's impossible unless we want to have rematch after rematch after rematch. So, Zoe, your thoughts?
I think that it should definitely be dependent on every single one. Raw, NXT, SmackDown. And honestly, it could also help with the viewership too. Because if you think about it, if they're defending it over at NXT, that's going to be more people who rather prefer NXT opposed to Raw and SmackDown to watch it, and vice versa.
Yeah, fair enough. Lance, final thoughts?
Well, like was already said, there's not a whole big talent pool of women's tag teams on any of the three brands. So in order for this thing to work, they've kind of have to go to all three brands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, in the I think Seth Rollins, he's defending his new title down in NXT, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, against Braun Breaker.
Thank you. Yep. So you know what? We're gonna move along again. According to reports, Elias' future in the WWE is up in the air. Fightful is reporting that Elias' contract was up as far as last year, but they could not confirm as he got a new deal with the company. He's pretty much been off screen. He's not done anything. So it looks like right now the Drifter is just drifting nowhere, Joe.
Yeah, unfortunately, and he's a talented guy. I think again, he's pigeonholed also into the gimmick. So, you know what? I basically I don't know what we can do with Elias. Even I would be hard pressed. He was doing great, being what he was doing before, trying to sing, and all that. It made a lot of fun. And then they hooked him up with that other guy, and you could tell when they just did not focus on what to do with the guy, and that's a problem in WWE. The man he looks like a wrestler. Let's get that. He doesn't look like a 110-pound weakling. He's looks like he has the talent. Because hell, I even compared him to Macho Man. At least the moves, you know. But yeah, gimmick wise, he's lost in limbo because they don't. This is the so-called creative team of WWE. They need to bring him back. Let him do that gimmick that he was doing. Let him be this version's honky tonk man where he could swing and clack the guitar on people, and just put on a fucking match. The man can do it. Just give him the go. He didn't we even report one time, guys, and girl, that he was even doing something live somewhere, like a live Elias
Yes.
show,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that got over. Why doesn't WWE see the value in this guy? But then they look at what they do the Judgment Day. They're the jobments days because they're like the jobbers of the fucking promotion.
The job squad of the
Yeah, they're the
2023.
job squad of 23. They need to WWE needs to fire these writers, hire people who know what wrestling is all about, and put these people in perspective. Um, Reverend Jake Slayer says the women should wrestle covered in butter
Chris.
flavored Crisco.
Damn.
Hey, I don't mind chocolate pudding.
I actually like the pudding matches, but you know.
Yeah.
But moving on. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Zoe, your thoughts on what's going on with Elias?
And honestly, to me, we don't have anything for him is not a good excuse to me because you've got a guy, he looks the part, he works a gimmick perfectly, who works a microphone, whether he's heel or if he's face, he knows how to work in the ring. Find something for him to do. He's very talented, and you guys are wasting a talent.
You know, honestly, I think this is a Vince McMahon call. I think, you know, when Vince McMahon has an idea for a star and he doesn't see that person as a star, he gets just casted away. And we've seen it plenty of times. I mean, look at Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Rhodes did almost little or nothing, no matter how many times he changed his gimmick. He even had suggested the gimmick, his American Nightmare, and they said, no, that's not a good idea. So he went and said, fuck this. He went up to New Japan Pro Wrestling where he created his gimmick. And then AEW, he made it more popular and put it on an American preference where everybody could see it. And that's when WWE started crawling for him back. And, you know, although he's not winning championships, he was wrestling at WrestleMania. He's making far more money than he did in the past. And unfortunately, that seems to be the case. When a wrestler's not working well in the WWE, you have to leave to go to another company and say, this is who I am. Like me or don't like me. So, Lance, final thoughts.
Well, it's like this. This has Snidely, Whiplash, Vince written all over it. Because, okay, when Vince left, Elias was Ezekiel or what the hell ever. Then Triple H brought Elias back, right? And he was getting over like Rover. Vince's first night back was, well, after the sale was the night after WrestleMania. Funny how that works because last time, that's when Elias's, actually that might have been the last time we saw Elias was when he was jobbing out to Omos.
Well, Omos, you know, okay. I mean, you know, if you lose to Omos, unless if you're a major superstar, I can understand.
Got squashed by Omos in
Yeah.
a month and a half.
And again, you know, unfortunately, Elias is just that guy who's just gonna get squashed on until he either makes a big career change or WWE decides to see the light and see him. And Eric is in the chat room and he said, I look at Elias and I see LA Knight, great on the mic, and he really puts in the effort. So my question is, why push LA and not Elias? You know what? Because Elias, to me, and LA Knight, he reminds me a lot of The Miz.
Yeah.
That's personally, you know, and I think where Elias, he just has more of a laid back kind of character. He doesn't have that in your face, over the top gimmick. But you don't always need that. You know, this guy in the '80s, he would have been world champion now, but I don't even
But
know what's going on.
but if you listen to
Again,
the pop that he gets whenever he appears in the middle of the ring, I mean, he is over with the crowd.
Absolutely. So when the crowd's response, you would figure that Vince would be like, scratching his head. Maybe they got an idea, but unfortunately with Vince, nope, it's only his idea. So,
well, and then there's the other side of that coin too. Nobody wants to stand up and say, "Look, this guy is. It's the next thing. You should be paying attention to him." This is what happens. Vince had the magic. I'll say that because wrestling wouldn't be what it is if he didn't take over his dad's company and made wrestling was great in the glory days, which was the 80s. But he took Hulk Hogan and a couple of people and made it extremely incredible. Magazines were covering, newspapers. Everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was. So, and he had that creative touch. He had that. When the company started going down in the 90s, what did he do? He listened to a couple of people and says, okay, great. The Attitude Era. Again, WWE stock went up. Look at those two eras. They just don't have those people. And the people that they do have that can really almost get to that same level,
all right,
they
the Hall
don't
of
want to
Fame.
give them they no. I mean like Elias and all these
Oh,
other guys who can talk, who can do the stuff, who look the part of a wrestler and not a spot monkey. You know, they they're not given the chance, but they give other people a chance. Like, okay, Roman Reigns, he did his thing, the bloodline boohoo, whatever. I'm not impressed with Roman Reigns. He's a ooh and a punch. Great,
Yes.
fucking nice. The only reason you got there, Roman, is because you got your relatives of The Rock and the Samoan family, which whom I respect greatly. But he's basically today's product, a ho hum wrestler. He's the Bob Backlund of today.
well,
They need to really move forward and push some of the guys and give them that chance.
I agree, and don't get me wrong. With the exception of the huge stretch that Roman Reigns has, I think he's an excellent wrestler. I've never had a problem with Roman Reigns. But again, I'm a minority. Well, until he got the bloodline, then all of a sudden the ones who hated him are now all of a sudden wearing 15,000 of shirts, praising him and all this other shit. But I want to move on. Tonight on Dynamite, Sky Blue will have her first chance to get a crack at the AEW Women's Champion, Toni Storm. Now, this past Friday on Rampage, Blue defeated Nyla Rose, Mercedes Mendez, and Britt Baker in a fatal four-way match to get this shot. So, now, I know that she's going to fit, but we all know that she's going to lose. I do not see Sky Blue defeating Toni Storm after she just got her championship, Joe.
Oh, you know, but it's an opportunity to give another person a shot. It's I understand it. They're gonna job her out because they're gonna have, Slutty Soraya there. They're gonna have, my face can stop a freaking volcano. Whatever fucking
Mendez.
Ruby
Oh yeah,
Soho.
Ruby So. Okay, yeah.
So, you know, Ruby Soho is so ugly that she dipped her face in the lava and it fucking went back into the mountain. She's so ugly she makes Chuck Norris scream. So, you know, but in this case, Sky Blue made a little bit of noise. She did it, got a little bit of notoriety, setting somebody on fire in church.
I
Hell,
know.
I
I was
wish,
gonna play.
I,
Damn it.
hell, I wish I can be a Satanist and do that at church. Guess what? The devil, here's a fire. Throw a fireball in somebody's face.
Damn.
No, I wish I would have done that when that. Hey, if I had the ability, I learned how to do from Eddie Gilbert how to do fireballs. Man, I wish I would have gone to the church. I'm the devil. you know,
Well,
Sky Blue did it. Sky Blue did it before me, so she made some noise. But is that going to translate to a championship win? No. If
no.
she's going to put on a good match, we don't know. Possibly.
Well,
Main thing here is that they're giving somebody else an opportunity.
yep, fair enough. Zoe, over to you. Your thoughts about Sky Blue taking on Tony Storm tonight?
I think that it's great. They're keeping the challengers fresh, is what I like about AEW. It's not constant all the time like it is in WWE, the same people over and over again. So, like you guys said, will she get beat tonight? Yes. Will she put on a good match? I'm sure that she will. This girl is learning so much as she goes from the other women in the women's division. These veterans have been doing this forever. And you can tell by the way that she works in the ring. She's gotten smoother with her moves. She's gotten on top of her game. I think it's going to be a good match.
I
I wish
agree.
I was on top of her game.
Hell, being on top of her on a good game or bad game doesn't matter, but I'd still be on top of her. Moving along. I'm sorry, Lance. Final thoughts on Tony Storm and Sky Blue.
Well, I think Sky Blue's going to be on fire tonight, but I think she's going to get put out by Tony Storm.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening and trying to scratch your head and saying what the hell happened, what had happened years ago, she was going into church and she had a candle, and there was a kid who was wearing a gown who she confessed she didn't like the kid, and she was just like teasing that she was going to drop it. And her mother's like, don't do it, don't do it. And she actually dropped it inadvertently and set the kid on fire, and she's been excommunicated from the church.
Gee, sounds like what they did to me.
Damn.
Yeah, Joe, but you did it for a different reason because you were looking at all the MILFs.
Hey, nothing's wrong with MILFs. They're fucking great.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. AEW's new show, Collision, is supposed to debut, and that's where actually CM Punk will be coming home in his hometown of Chicago. But it looks like AEW is having problems selling tickets. Right now, they've only sold about a little over 9,000 tickets, but the max capacity for United Center has 23,000 people sit tickets. So, Lance, that's not even half. It's not looking too good for this new show.
No, and like we talked about earlier before we got on, a lot of people at 8 or 9 o'clock on a Saturday are going to be out and about doing their due. And also, they're going up into Canada after this.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
Well,
And this is a big problem. Collision is not shown in Canada. They don't have a TV deal for Collision in Canada yet.
yeah.
Which that's going to be hard for them to pack those buildings too.
Well, they just recently got a deal with the UK.
Yeah.
So it might be, by the time they get there, they hopefully will have Collision on TV for the Canada. But the biggest issue is that it's the weekends.
Yeah.
People like to go out on the weekends. I probably will most likely not watch Collision on the weekends because I'm going to be going to concerts. I'm going to be going to the beach. I'm going to be, doing other things. And the last thing I want to do is sit home and watch TV on the weekends. Joe, I don't know about you.
Oh, hell yeah. Normally I work the weekends, but when I'm free on the weekends, there's nothing that stops me from going to the beach. It's the summer weather where, I want to get out. This is what the main things that happen on when WCW or the NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, used to have it at 6:05 on TBS. They had good ratings for people who would be home and watch it, but most of the time, no, I kind of set the VCR to record and I went out and did stuff, and it's in Greensboro, North Carolina, the home of Jim Crockett Promotions. This is something that they should come up with somebody from that era to just show up and be a speaker or something, just hell, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, anybody from the old that been to the Greensboro area, having a name pop up on there just out of the blue. And in the Greensboro Coliseum, some of the greatest matches in NWA, history So if they can't sell tickets, then they need to literally put someone that's famous from the 80s era to show up just to say, "Hi guys, yeah, come here." But Rick, is this going to be the time slot, or is this something at 6:05? What are they doing?
No, it's 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
But
Man, people are still getting blasted by that time.
yeah, exactly. So like I said, I plan on like DVRing it. I unfortunately, like I said, unless if I'm home with nothing else to do, I'll watch it. But I think really AEW had a really bad day and maybe even a time slot. But unfortunately, Monday through Friday, wrestling's all taken by it's all monopolized by different shows and AEW and TNA. I'm sorry, AEW as well as AEW. Zoe, your thoughts?
Honestly, I've got my shows on the weekends that I have to go to, so I will end up DVRing it, and then I'll forget all about
Damn.
it. I,
Lance, I did get you right.
Not yet. I mean,
Okay, well, take over.
well, like everybody's been saying, if I'm here, I'll watch it. If I'm not, like, I'm going to a blues festival next Saturday. I ain't worrying about fucking Collision next Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I don't like going to live wrestling events. I'll go to concerts all day long, but I mean, wrestling you have to be up and close, and tickets aren't cheap. They're like $300 or $400 if you want to get like the front row seats or whatever, or even the second row or whatever.
Rick,
But
real quick.
yep.
Terry 3Gs is in the chat room. Eric Molinado is there too. So just wanted to give them a quick shout out, the Reverend Jake Slayer. So if you guys want to check out the action, come to our HWR chat. HWR YouTube channel. I'm butchering that. So you can be contributing to the chat. Blah. Now we can.
How about like and
your
subscribe?
schedule first. Yeah, you can subscribe too, you bastards. Makes it easier on my part.
Oh,
If
yeah.
not, we'll send Zoe to your house with a hatchet.
All right. Moving along. We're gonna. Apparently, an AEW who is a former Ring of Honor wrestler and he's now a producer, B.J. Whitmer was arrested for first-degree strangulation and second-degree burglary last week. That was of his wife. A bond was set for $25,000. He was not released until Monday. AEW posted on Twitter where they stated that Whitmer has been terminated from the company. Unfortunately, we hear shit. Go ahead, Joe. You're already laughing up a storm.
Bitch, I told you. Bitch, I told. Go ahead, Lance.
Preemptive. Joe at SkullGeonsRealm.com. Go.
Bitch, I told you steak. Meat, well done. Well done. That's it.
I wanted peas, not carrots.
Yeah, fuck.
Just how stupid people are, though. It really, I have absolutely no pity for people who put their hands on, wives. Call me old-fashioned. I just think it's just absolutely disgusting.
Oh, but it's okay for someone like Zoe to beat us up. All right, fine.
She's a wrestler. I'll excuse. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
And she's cute to Dickens, right, Zoe?
Yeah.
That, with her, all you gotta do is wear shin guards.
You said that, Lance, not me. Zoe, your thoughts on this?
I mean, as somebody who is a domestic violence survivor, he needs to be locked away. Justice needs to be served. AEW is doing the right thing, not supporting this and getting rid of the scumbag that he is. It's like you said, no man should ever put his hands on a woman with the intent of hurting them. And it goes the other way around, too. No woman should put her hands on a man with the intentions on inflicting harm and hurting them. That's all I'm going to say about it.
All right. Lance, over to you.
Bye, motherfucker.
Okay. Short and sweet and to the point.
Yeah, it's, you know what? Again, I agree with Zoe. And it's no person, and I agree with you, Rick. Nobody should put their hands on somebody else like that. And, you're in a high profile position. what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to get out, and your life is, you know, hell, we all wish we had that dream job. And when an idiot like this screws up the dream job, then motherfucker, you need to be locked up and put in a jail cell with Bubba, who's going to say, "Oh, fresh meat. See how well you like it."
Yeah, absolutely. It's just despicable. And you know what? We're gonna move along to other situations. Um, for years, the Money in the Bank briefcase was to challenge any major WWE championship. Usually, it was for the WWE championship or the Undisputed Championship. However, WWE has decided to do away where now, if you have the briefcase, you can cash it in on any title in the WWE. So, Lance, you and I were talking about this earlier, and it completely takes away the whole purpose of that ladder match. We loved the ladder match. We loved that Money in the Bank match because it was like, okay, who's gonna be the next number one contender? Now it's for
Yeah.
the U.S. or Intercontinental title.
Yeah, because like you said, it was going to be who's the next number one contender for a world belt. But now, no, it's going to be who's the next mid carder that's going to get a shot at a mid card belt. It's
Yeah.
bullshit.
And Joe, the Intercontinental Championship years ago, that meant something. That meant you were next in line to be the next guy. But now again, Intercontinental Championship, I don't even know who's holding it. I don't even, it's not even.
Gunther.
Okay, Gunther.
Just to show that shows you how much that belt is known when a guy named Gunther can hold the belt. It looks like a sore thumb. Let's face the facts. The WWE is not what it used to be. And in this case, honestly, them putting the money in the bank and somebody can say, yeah, I can challenge for any title makes sense because it is unexpected. And yeah, if let's say, let's say if it's a small person like Chad Gable who wins the Money in the Bank and it's Brock Lesnar holding the world title. Okay, I'm not challenging that motherfucker, but I'm going to cash in on this guy holding the Intercontinental or the United States belt. It makes a lot of sense to do something like that. Hell, let's take it up a notch. What if that person wanted to cash in on a tag title and says, here's my partner, me and him, I'm cashing in a thing for both of us. That should be the preference for that briefcase. Unexpected,
Absolutely.
surprise.
Yeah.
That should be that for that belt. That should be that briefcase, what it should be worth for.
Yeah.
I would even say, guys, what would you think? Even the Royal Rumbles, should the person that wins it just go after the world champion? Could they challenge for any title?
You know what? Don't spin it because that was my thoughts in the back of my head. I'm like, if they're doing this with
It
Money in
needs
the
to
Bank,
stay for the world belt.
yeah. So, over in the chat room, real quick, Cherry3G said Money in the Beef, and that was me when I was trying to say a briefcase, so I fucked that one up. Maybe if it's Brock Lesnar, yeah, that would probably be Money in the Beef. Eric Maleo says, if the winner of the MITB briefcase finds a friend, does that mean he can challenge for the tag titles? You know what? That's scary, but I wouldn't be surprised
That's
if
exactly what I just said too.
Yeah, it's scary, and it's really just fucked up. Zoe, your thoughts?
The only thing I thought whenever you mentioned it was, oh snap, Bakey's gonna cash in on Seth.
Yeah,
It could happen.
But I don't know. It's just Money in the Bank to me has always been you get that contract, you're gonna go up for the world championship, the world heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of leaves surprise to what title they're gonna go for, but I liked it old school. I liked the new storyline being set up for the biggest championship of all time.
yeah. Now, obviously, the women's championship, that ladder match is far more significant because there's the two women's belts. The world title. So, but I think they kind of WWE kind of like fumbled the ball on that one, but they've been fumbling the ball in a lot of shit lately. Roman Jake Slayer says the monkey in the top bank ladder match winner gets a spank at anyone's monkey they choose. Okay, Lance, final thoughts.
Well, Damn.
Lance is like, I'm not watching WWE ever again after that comment.
It's something that will be brung up at the next meeting. All
Yeah.
right, guys, we're gonna slap some monkeys.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the monkey on the top bunk ladder match. How's that? You get to slap the monkey.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of actual pay-per-views,
Oh, here we go.
yeah, WWE apparently is rumored that they're doing away with kickoff matches, which, you know what, that was the whole point of a kickoff show because they would have that one or two matches, and it would be just a little bit of the commentary. Now it's gonna be all fucking commentary, which to me makes no fucking sense, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, when I would have the pre-show on, I'd usually be running in and out of here, getting my food ready for the main show. So I guess I ain't gotta watch the pre-show then.
That's my thoughts exactly. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to wait for the main show to start. Zoe, over to you.
I never watched the kickoff shows, to tell you the truth. I just never was interested in them.
All right, fair enough. Joe, final thoughts.
You know, hell, I just forgot the question.
WWE is doing away from for
Yeah,
pay-per-view kickoffs.
the pay-per-view kickoffs. Yeah, shows you how much I'm invested in WWE. Um, Honestly, they used to be great matches because they used to put matches, pre-show matches that sometimes you would go and you would see a tag title change. You know, if the tag titles were not on the line in the main show. Now what they're doing is they're just doing what football and baseball and all the other sports do. They do a pre-show which is all talk about stats and literally that's it. So, you know, again, I guess that's what their thought is. Let's make it more like a sports show where everybody talks and we'll do the stats and all this.
Yeah, and I was reading an article on Randy Orton. As we all know, he's currently out with an injury, and he's soon on his way to return. But he said in an interview that he wanted to wrestle till he was 50. He's 41 now, but now that with his injury, he can see he could possibly, end that career a little bit sooner than that. Um, Joe, wrestlers who get back injuries, especially at the age of 40, the longevity is farly shortened.
Absolutely. You're more susceptible to get injuries. You're more susceptible to, you know, actually getting killed because if you can't keep up with the spot monkeys today, oh God, you're going to die. So honestly, he has nothing to complain about. He's done a lot in the wrestling business. Hell, he's done more things than his father ever did. And his father did win belts elsewhere. He wasn't limited to the WWE. He won belts in the NWA. So, Cowboy Bob Orton didn't, has nothing to be ashamed of. But Randy's done so extremely so much in the business that he doesn't need to prove himself. I hate to see him be the guy who just is the stepping stone for all these little monkey flippers. We could say the same thing for Chris Jericho, but at least he's helping the guys out. Randy's not that type of a guy who, how can we say, really is willing to help people. He just want to get in there, collect a paycheck, and move off. So his time has come. He doesn't really need to worry about what what belt he's going to win next. He just needs to go in there, do a couple more matches, and then just retire and collect that big time money that Legends deal contracts.
All right, Zoe, over to you.
I mean, look at how old Randy Orton was whenever he started in WWE. He was very young to start in the WWE. He's accomplished so much. He's a future Hall of Famer. That's easily said. He's set financially. Do one more match, let it be your retirement match. And if you still want to be part of the industry, I'm sure that they can find something, whether it's in creative, whether it's in production. If he would actually be willing to go and train people, which I don't think that he would, let him do that. But with the amount of injuries that Randy Orton has gotten, and we have seen it, he's very prone to injuries. I just don't think at his age, especially with this most recent injury, that he should be thinking about getting back in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. Lance, final thoughts.
Well, the whole 9 more years thing, I got my fucking doubts. Because if you look at his main 5 crowd popping moves, most of them are back bump eccentric.
Mhm.
He has to go to his back because you got the RKO, back bump. That sweet missile drop kick he has, back bump. The rope DDT, back bump. I'm not sure how much torque that spinning power slam he does puts on his back.
Well, and that again, he is back, but he's also had rotor cuff issues on both of his shoulders, and
Yeah.
that was years ago.
So, like y'all been saying, few more matches and then hang them up.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I love Randy Orton. I've never had one match that I can say I didn't really care for. A lot of people didn't like the series of him and John Cena match, but you know what? I thought they had some great matches. So
That it was just overdone with him and Cena.
it was to a point, but I still say for them, it was if both of them, it was helped build their career at that point in time. One last piece of news before we sign off tonight. Fightful is claiming that EJ Nuka, or Nuka, who was formerly an NXT wrestler, is now a free agent and has been signed by Tony Khan's AEW. So I've never heard of the guy, but I don't know, Lance. You watch NXT regularly. Do you know who this guy is?
No.
Wow.
Because to be fair, what NXT's on, I have it on the side, but NXT's usually on when I'm doing my Tuesday night show.
Okay, so I guess I can ask Joe, but I know Joe would know who he is.
Saturday at 7, every Tuesday at 7 Central, 8 Eastern.
There you
Nice
go.
pop right. Nice pop right in there, Lance.
Zoe, are you familiar with this EJ Nduka, I think it's pronounced?
I have no idea who he is.
Okay, well, apparently he probably just didn't make it that long, so if anybody in this chat room knows, feel free to, mention him.
If we don't know him, he must suck really bad.
Hell, you're smart to avoid me because I would have said I don't know who the fuck that jobber is. But I can see Tony Khan saying, yeah, Dad, I can get a former NXT worker. What the fuck is his name? Something called Nuka. Okay, whatever.
The only Nuka I know is Dude Nukem, but that's it. And that was a video game from the 80s. Yeah.
And that's a better game than Nukem. You're gonna remember Nuka. So, Nuka the hookah.
Yeah.
That's what his new gimmick's gonna be. I smoke at the hookah.
You can come up with a name because my name is Nuka.
Oh, like the song Luke, was it Luca or something like that?
Luca, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and a few chaps from the guys. Terry3G said, I agree with Zoe, one more match and call it a career, and that's regarding Randy Orton. Jake Slayer said, Shine Wrestling is going to be where I'm at soon. And, of course, 33G says, Zoe doesn't know anyone unless their name is Moxley.
True.
Duke Nukem, new indie wrestler. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out in the chat room. Please hit that like button, and please also share to support Hardcore Wrestling Rants. We're here every Wednesday night at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Joe, you're over at Skeleton Realms. What do you got going on?
Well, I'm up to the last boss in Mega Man 1. So you guys make sure you check me out. Just do the hashtag Scoldrins Realm. I am on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. In fact, tonight I will be completing that monstrosity. I've been at it back and forth. So finally, I will be finishing that game for you, Lance, because you've been wanting me to finish it. So again, do the hashtag Scoldrins Realm. I am also on Twitter at Scoldrin. So I do games from yesterday to today, PC to console. So make sure you all check me out.
All right, Zoe, what do you got going on in your wrestling career right now?
I got a lot going on. This Saturday we will be at Lincoln High School doing a wrestling show for TSW. Right before it is a car show, so if you guys are out and about in the Corbin area, go check out the car show. Stick around and watch wrestling that night. Doors open at 6. Showtime is at 7. We also have our 11-year TSW anniversary show on July 8th is at the Lilly RCA football field. And then we're back again at Lilly RCA football field on August 5th, August 19th at Lynn Camp, and September 2nd at the RCA football field. Make sure that you guys go out and check it out. If you're not in the area, support your local independent wrestlers. Go out and see a show this weekend.
All right. Lance, finally not least, you over at Lance Boss TV. What's going on?
Well, right now it's just Lance Moss TV and Friends coffee time every Tuesday at 7:05 Central, 8:05 Eastern, where we shoot the shit for roughly, what do you say, Zoe, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that.
If I'm on there, it's usually an hour and a half because I fall asleep.
And then your sleeping medicine kicks in.
If I'm not on there, it lasts us for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I want to thank everyone from the Hardcore crew for hanging out with us. So until next week, I'm your Hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.
Wear the shirt.